Well, my bride's over there starting the weeding process. We've had a bunch of rain. It rained again yesterday. We've had over 4 inches in the last, since Tuesday, I think, Wednesday. And the tomatoes have been in the ground. We figured 2 weeks we'd have to look it up, and you can look at the last one over there on the last pole, which is 8 feet, and it's in the ground about a foot. So it's about 3.5 feet tall. It's probably well above my waist. That's Sweet Millions. They always grow like a weed. And you'll notice that that's the best end of our garden because it is 12 o'clock on Sunday the 7th and on the East Coast. And you notice that's in full sun. See all this shadow here? And see the weeds? And the full sun is what does it. And these tomatoes will produce really better this year. Last year they were over here, so you know all those down here, it's going to take about another hour and a half to get full sun down here. But they're looking pretty healthy. They all got tomatoes on them. These are the 4th of July's, a salad tomato, right size of a golf ball. And they're better boys. I've been tying them up. And the ones on the end are Sweet Millions. I want to talk about suckers. Then we'll switch it to another video. Having to water the cukes before we go home, even though it rained a lot, it's gotten awful dry. And I just planted this double side on both of these, and hopefully I can get enough moisture on them so we can go away from here for a couple days. We've been staying down here like 3 days, going home overnight, coming back the next day or the early the next morning. We got a few carrots in there, so we're gonna have to wait for them to come up before we can finish weeding. That's weeded, and we're putting down grass clippings. Eventually I will take all the stuff on top of that compost pile and just put it over top here to keep the weeds down. And I ran a stirrup hoe through here, swivel hoe, stirrup hoe, and I did that row and that row and that row and part of that row because there's not a lot of weeds up here. And once the sun gets on the roots, and if it dries out and doesn't rain, they'll die. And the beans are up. We put the pole up. We haven't put the bird netting up yet. They're not ready to grab onto it yet anyway. This is a row of squash, and we're thinking about putting some late cucumbers in here right now, and it has got a ton of weeds in it. All the leaves weren't disturbed very much on our tomato planting, and you notice there's very little weed activity, simply because, see right there is less matter on top of that row, and see the weeds. Over here you got more grass, less weeds. And then this is the weediest part of our yard because we get a lot of weed seeds off all this stuff. It all blows over here. And we'll plow this up. We haven't really thought. We've got a bunch of melons coming up from last year down over there. And we have enough probably to plant this whole bed in melons that are already up. So we're going to have to plow this thing again and try to do something with the weeds. Well, it's time to go up the country. Oh, you haven't seen this. I've been working on it with a chainsaw. They're real fragile. These figs right now are real fragile. You can just hit one of these with your finger and break it off, or brush into it and it'll snap off. That's still all the growth, so I whacked that one off. I whacked that one and that one. I'd like to cut some more of that off, but I just need somebody down here with enough strength to hold it while I cut through it. And I could notch this one and cut from the other side, and it would just fold over on the ground, and then I could probably cut it off in smaller. But once these harden up this winter, we might be able to get in here when the foliage is gone and take these, at least those 3 trunks out. I'm not really hoping for much on this, but it's alive and I'm going to let it live. It's time to go up the country.